here. Good afternoon. It's Randy Byrd here for the weekly coaching call. Good to hear you. It's all about you. So whatever I could do to support you, to answer your questions, to help coach you a little bit further in what you're doing, that's what this is meant to do. And I have things on my agenda, but number one, it's your agenda. So do you have any questions for me? Anything I can make sure I answer either now or before the end of the call that I could help you with? Hearing none, going once, going twice. So we'll go into my...
I'm curious as to just what people are seeing right now, because I'm very confused by this market.
In what regard? I think I know what you're asking, but and what
Just
people
in
are seeing
terms of
just in...
the ongoing shortage of inventory and yet the extreme reluctance of buyers. I'm just not seeing a lot of activity in the lower end. And
So,
the agents I'm talking to are reporting the same thing back on their lower end listings.
yeah, it's definitely going on. So let me ask you a question, Sonia. Are anybody in your MLS selling houses?
Well, of course,
Right.
somebody
The
is.
answer is of course. And so we're hearing this throughout all of my coaching regions. So I have coaching clients in probably 8 or 9 states still. And so every week I ask them what's going on in their current market, and they have to report some market conditions and things. The market is soft. The luxury specifically is off about 50%. Inventory is still critically low. We're starting to see little bubbles of inventory increasing, but the reality is inventory is still low. The buyers are in a arms crossed posture because of the rates, and they think that they're going to wait until the rates come down. So the good quality agents are discussing the options to them and how they might lose their buying power as this market corrects into a lower interest rate, which will happen. We just don't know when. It might be next year after the elections. It could be before the elections. The Democrats may make a stand to try and boost things that way. I personally believe we're going to be in this inflation conundrum and through the election cycle. And if they retain the House, it's no end in sight. We'll see what happens. And if we do, in fact, change presidencies and move to either Republican or a different party, then I think things can change very quickly. So that's not a political statement. That's just an economic statement. The market is a very skill-based market. I'm trying to be gentle here, but you have to be skill-based. I'm going to mute you, Bobby. You have to be skill-based right now. You have to have skill-based conversations, skill-based objection handling, skill-based conversations with the buyers to get them off of the fence of what really is going on now. You can't just hide behind the date the rate and marry the house. That just is not going to go really far, right? They've heard it. It's really a place of reluctance. And that's why part of what I want to talk about today is fanatical prospecting, because this is really the secret sauce to this market right now is out producing and out prospecting your challenges and your problems. So if you're feeling like you're really struggling in your particular market, and I'll use the air quotes, if you're really struggling in this particular market, you've got to go ground floor and look at what you're doing in a prospecting base. And because the market share is out there for you to grab, you just have to grab your fair share. And as a whole, the market is significantly off. So that makes it a lot harder. But let's see how I can say this gently and politically correct as possible. If you're even remotely a savage right now, you're going to completely crush this market. And there are so many agents that are being candy asses that you can get an unfair advantage by working through it, working harder. And so I just see a very propped up market with agents that have all been in the market 3, 4, 5, 7 years at max. Is a good portion of the agents that I'm talking to that are in this what's going on in the market status. And they're the ones that have never had to work through a hard market. They've never been in a market that took prospecting, or you had to work through short sales or really take your business a different direction just to survive. And so, what I'm seeing is really a kind of a great divide. Agents that are really having some banner years and really, really crushing it. And then others that can't see any light in sight. And so hopefully you're not on the latter part of that. The challenge with this market is you have to be prospecting based, marketing enhanced. And in the last 5 years, we could have been marketing based and been successful. Matter of fact, maybe even record and banner years. So a little soapbox, but hopefully that helps you, Sonia.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So now that I've said that, hopefully you can come up with something I can help you in specifically. Think about that for a minute. Kenny.
Well, with you and Russell both on here, I'd probably get some good advice on my my situation here.
Yeah.
I have 2 signed listing agreements. Basically, they're coming soon. Thing is, we can't go to market yet because they're both kind of like garbage cans. I mean, they're both very similar properties. One of them actually has a major sense of urgency to it. I'm having a difficult time getting both of these folks to kind of get going. I've brought them vendors. I've met the vendors at the house. I've stressed that I'm a third party making an introduction. I've basically some of my vendors have actually got them to agree to getting paid half up front, half at the end. I'm trying to make it as easy as possible for these people. Yet still, after calling them this morning, there's no action.
Okay. And we record this and it gets posted on social media. So be careful of addresses and names and things like that, as you are. Mm-hmm. But Russell, you want to take this one? I think we both know the answer to this.
Yeah, I mean, there's a number of answers. My guess is they don't have any money, but they're procrastinators in the first place, and they're obviously, not taking care of their places. So that's how they got here in the first place, right? Right. What I have to do with folks like that is start to finish, Kenny. Unfortunately, if you're going to make them in decent shape, if you want the houses in decent shape, make sure they have the money, right? That's the only thing that I don't front for most of these people is the money. Special situations, maybe. Also have a couple of contractors, which you use, that may be able to include it in the escrow at the end. They charge a little bit of a premium for that, like the roofer that I introduced you to and a couple of other folks. So long story short, I mean, especially the one that you and I talked about that's urgent. The reason they're urgent is because they're procrastinators to start off with and they did nothing, right? So right. I go A to Z with these folks. I just realize I have to do the job for them. And if you want a property in good shape, it's going to be you driving the bus the entire time. I hate to say that, but that's the way that I do it with these. Or don't, bend over backwards and break yourself if they're not going to meet you halfway, and just list them as they are and sell them. I don't know if you have a different strategy or approach, Randy, but that would be what I would say.
No, you could underline that exactly. I feel the exact same way. The only thing I would add to that, Kenny, is let's walk you through a dialogue real quick. What's the sales price approximately? Give me like a $50,000 range.
6.
Okay, so 600,000. Kenny, I want you to come list my house. It's valued at 600,000. Needs $100,000 worth of upgrades, but I'm not willing to go below 695. Come out. I want to get started right away.
Great. I'll be right out.
Okay, that's the wrong answer. So where I was going with this is it's up to you to be the businessman. Mm-hmm. And so now let me walk you through a different way. Kenny, you have 50 active listings. You have 50 current pending escrows. You are a very high producer, $100 million producer. That same phone call, what's that agent going to do to that client or have the conversation with that client about?
Probably do more qualifying over the phone with them.
A lot more. They're not going to run out there unless they have these qualifying questions and do a lot. They may even send somebody by to do a drive-by to get a feel for it before they do. I mean, remember, their money at that level is worth $500 to $1,000 per hour.
Okay.
Right. So the higher level of agents you get, it's really interesting. And I'm going to go on a soapbox about what I was just talking about again in a second. The super high level producers, that you've got to check boxes before they even give you the ability to come out and give you the CMAs and the time and the listing opportunity, right? Because they're running a business. And the newer the agent, they'll run out there at the moment's notice to give a free everything, right? It's just a little bit of what happens in the business. And I understand it and I'm okay with it at some level. On the other side of the coin, when you look at a prospecting relationship, my guys that do 400 transactions, I got one that does 1,000 transactions a year. They're trying to find more than 3 hours a day of prospecting. They're like digging in, I need another half an hour. I could do another 300 deals if I get another half an hour of prospecting time a day. In contrast, I get an agent that wants to hire me as a coach that's doing 5 or 6 deals a year, and they can't find an hour a day to save their life. It's just their life is unraveling. It's just everything's crazy. There's no way I could do 2 or 3 hours a day of prospecting. So that contrast works on both sides of this, right?
Right.
So to help you specifically, I would have a breakup conversation with them. I would have, hey, listen, because if you're emotional to it, it's going to be a little different for you. If it's your only listing, I'm not talking about you right now, but if it's your only listing or one of a couple, or you're attached to the outcome being the commission check and it's not even in escrow yet, right? We're just thinking, man, this is 30 grand. That really means a lot to me right now, which of course it does. It does to everybody on this call and me. But the reality is still bad business if you're going down that avenue, as opposed to getting on the front side and finding two or three people that are ready, willing, and able, that know, like, and trust you, that are going to do business with you, right? Because the energy that you're putting in over here is being taken away from you over here.
I can't wait until I get to that point, Randy, because it is my character to want to fix stuff.
Yeah, welcome to my world, because I'm a fixer, right? And Kirsty and I go round and round about this because she brings me something just to talk, just to be in a loving conversation with me. And that's not how I heard it. I heard it like, I could fix that. I'm going to jump in. And she's like, whoa. I just wanted to be heard. I didn't want to be fixed. Right. So I get it. But in looking at it from 10,000 foot elevation, if I was Tom Ferry or another, real estate guru looking at your business, is it a good business decision to go down the road you're going down?
What I found, Randy, on the only small piece on the flip side is, because these guys are I know one of them, by the way. I don't know them personally, but I know one of the situations.
Yeah,
is because they're such procrastinators and they need so much help. And Kenny does have the time right now. If you put it in front of them, right, and you do it for them,
that's right.
They'll go along for the ride. And I get that Kenny's doing more work than he needs to, especially if he had it, a bunch of listings. But they will just basically kind of do whatever you say, but you have to do it for them, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a great statement, Russell. And what I interpret out of that, Kenny, for your benefit, is giving them options. Because if you're a procrastinator, you're leaving dishes on the counter, you're not cleaning out your car. There's a whole bunch of other traits that follow suit with that, right? Mm-hmm. Where if you give them a little head start, if you clean the counter once, they can maybe keep up with it a little better or something. Give them a little head start to that, meaning that maybe you set up a couple contractors that are willing to put it in escrow. If there's equity in the house, if your contract's long enough to make sure that goes through, and there's some other agreements in place, you don't want to hang out a independent contractor or subcontractor to dry, right? I've done that too, by overselling the ability to sell it, and then it's out of my hands, right? They either take it out of my hands or they won't listen to me, then it's out of my hands. Where I felt safe with my subcontractor because of my abilities, but again, hand-tied. So if they're willing to make some of these decisions and concessions, then you're willing to lean on independent relationships, contractors, otherwise, to get this stuff done, right? Especially if it's functional obsolescence or it just won't sell without it.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah, and to your point, Randy, don't Kenny, when you get it done, like, there's certain things that you care about, right? Listing agreement signed, property on the market, them actually signing, contracts. I mean, so even though you're helping, make sure that you focus on the things that are mutually beneficial as much as just beneficial for them.
Yeah. Right. Great point. It's a good dialogue, Kenny. I guarantee everybody on this call will benefit from it.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Right. It is a very, very common thing in the beginning of your career. One of the first things you do is drive people around and look at 30 doors. That's your Vanna White of the real estate industry. And then eventually you get into a posture where you're getting more listings and you get a little more in control of the real estate business. But that's nature of the beast, right? I love it. Any other questions on this topic before I kind of get into some fanatical prospecting? Okay, cool. So I wanted to talk to you about fanatical prospecting today. I love Jeff Blanc I saw him. Well, actually, he was in San Antonio. I was sick in bed that day, so I missed him, and that was really a bummer because that was one of my main highlights of going to that. I've read his book twice. I've got underlined and highlighted places everywhere in the book. Right? It's really a dynamite book for a salesperson, and it's really designed for salespeople. It could be a car salesman, insurance salesman, real estate agent. It doesn't matter. But what I love about this, and I taught this a little bit in today in a different context, was turning around RBOs. RBOs, I call them bros just because it's easier to remember, BRO, right? But it's a reflex response, a brush off, an objection. So any way you want to put those in order, it's fine. But to me, that's what it is. And I love it. It says, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. Mike Tyson, right? So even through your best hopes and what the call outcome will be if you're prospecting, whether you're prospecting a database, whether you're prospecting a farm, a geographical farm, or an area, not sheeps and goats and chickens, but a geographical farm, or you're farming and working in a database of like a group that you're part of, Seroptimist, Exchange Club, Rotary, whatever it may be. You have a great plan until you get punched in the mouth and somebody says something that throws you off balance, right? So understanding that is really, really important. And so I love this. It's like, they say that public speaking causes the most fear in people, but in my experience, given the choice between public speaking and making a cold prospecting call, you'd line up for the speech, right? You line up to go up on stage prior to making a phone call. And I find that to be true. Prospecting, especially telephone prospecting and in-person prospecting, conjures up our deepest fears of vulnerability. I think the secret sauce to this is, number one, on attachment, putting yourself, even if you have to talk yourself into the on attachment by saying, hey, Kenny, I'm calling about your house, but I'm unattached to the outcome. I just think I might be able to serve you and help you. But if it's not for you, I'm cool, right? So taking that away from them automatically, and it makes you actually be unattached to the outcome as well. And it might be a barrier breakdown where you can actually get through to more conversation. And so when I look at this is why so many people hate prospecting. They cannot control the situation, and therefore they feel vulnerable and uncomfortable, right? That's what's going on. Usually, if you're calling somebody that you don't know at all, you're less reluctant than if you're calling somebody that would know, like, and trust you, where they could judge you, right? People would much rather call an expired list than they would their SOI or their database, their sphere of influence. That's just how it goes, right? And so when you get into that prospecting mentality, and I see Bobby just put everybody needs a CMA, comparative market analysis. This is one of my favorite trainings. This is what I'm going to train on tomorrow in Vancouver, Washington, is unsolicited CMAs. It's the love language of real estate, right? It's, what is your house worth? Are you willing to talk to me about it in a neutral place without feeling sold or feeling obligated or feeling put out in any way? And everybody that owns a property or has people that own properties would love to know that value in real time, because it changes in real time, right? So for me, forward prospecting to me is farming. I love finding a geographical farm and calling all the homeowners in that, so you can get really some homeowner stats and statistics, market statistics in that particular, say, 1,000 home subdivision. I can know what school districts are in there, what the police chief is, what the crime rate is, what the turnover is. I can know how long that siding's been up in that subdivision. I can do all those things. So when I start calling people to offer value, I'm actually the educated one in the conversation. I'm the expert in the area. And then through that, I could lean into other things like a Facebook group for them specifically. So I bring attention to myself and awareness to myself. And every step of the way that you do that, you get a little more bandwidth for the conversation that they're willing to have, because now they're getting to know and like you. And then once they get to a trust point, that's real estate. If they can get to a point to where they trust you, then you're in a posture that you could talk about their home values, about their next steps, variations of what they could do, what are their options, right? So this is where I really, really like leaning on the prospecting, but that's still cold. You've got to focus in warm. You've got to start in the warm until you run out of warm. You could bring in a farm and bring in an area to do CMAs and things like I'm talking about. But really, you want to start in your warm market, people that have already done business with you, people that have already referred business to you, people that you already know. Maybe it's those clubs I just talked about. You know them. And it could be as simple as, hey, Kenny, Randy Byrd, we're both here in the Exchange Club. And I was just curious, man, I'm a real estate broker and I think you're do insurance. Like to see what we could do to help each other. And, kind of as a gift of mine, I'd like to just do a free comparative market analysis on your place and no obligation. I'll just get that to you. And then let me know what I could do to help you. So some kind of reciprocity, right? Think about these groups people belong to. I was talking to an agent recently and she was like, I don't know anybody. I'm pretty new and I think she's in San Jose. I don't know anybody. I go, do you belong to any groups? She goes, oh yeah, I'm all kinds of groups. I'm like, each one of those have 50 to 100 people that are now a nurturing database, right? Because they know and like you, or at least they know of you. So anytime we can get into a posture that we're having the language with people that allows us to have a sales conversation, sales language with them, is going to be valuable. The thing that most people will say when you reach out to them, especially for CMAs and things, tell me what you think you hear when you call somebody for an unsolicited CMA. If you cold called them, for instance, what's their likely response going to be?
Cold call. Who are you? What do you need?
Yeah. Why are you calling me?
Why are you calling me? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to give you a free CMA comparative market analysis.
On my car? On what? What are you talking about?
Right. On your home at 123 Banana Street.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No, I mean, I have an agent. Thanks.
Okay. So that's one objection. I have an agent.
Yeah.
The other objection is they didn't call you, right? You're a solicitor. So that's something to overcome. The other things they're not interested in selling. So why do I need anything, right? I'm not interested in selling. But if somebody called me, Redfin's doing an amazing job at this, by the way. We've got to be conscious of Redfin because they're getting actually quite accurate. And they send me a monthly unsolicited valuation of my house. And it's freaking scary accurate, right? Because agents are sending me stuff. We'll pay cash for your house. I get those all the time and they're way off. But Redfin, that's stupid Redfin. And I mean this with all due respect, Redfin, is it's really, really accurate. It's way better than Zillow. And, Zillow's got a bad rap for being inaccurate. But Redfin, for whatever reason, it seems like they're accurate. It might be just a geographical luckiness or whatever it is. But on my particular house, I'm now every time I get an email from Redfin, what am I doing? I'm opening it because I'm curious, right? What's going on? I'm in the market. I'm a coach in the market. But Redfin's done a good job because now I know, like, and I trust their valuations, mainly because I liked what it said, right? It's above the other ones that I'm getting. It's above Zillow and these other things. So there's value in that as you're progressing with this, right? So you got to learn to overcome those objections through your prospecting. So if you get an objection, hey, why are you calling me? I already have an agent. Listen, keep your agent. I'll tell you what, let us both compete for your business. I think there's honor amongst competition. What about if I send this over? No obligation. Take a look at it and I'll just follow up. So you have any questions. And if you want to use the other agent, I support that. I'd like to try and earn your business. All they could do is say no. And if they say no, it's usually a little bit of isolation to why it's no, right? Well, the other agent's my brother-in-law and he, going with my brother-in-law. I would probably take them off my list in that answer. My wife's an agent. I'd take them off my list. Well, we used a person to buy this house. We'll use them when we sell it. Awesome. What's this person's name? Oh, it's Sandra. Sandra what? I don't remember her last name. What company Sandra with? I don't know what Sandra. Okay, I'm soliciting them heavily, right? I'm going to make sure they get my information, my flyers, my work, my CMA. I'm going to deliver it on the doorstep, right? Because now there's an opportunity there. Is that helpful?
Yeah, Randy, I love the one that you do where you say, hey, listen, I just did a CMA for someone else in your neighborhood and it's applicable and man, it's spot on with your property. I'm just going to go ahead and send it to you if you're okay. I mean, it's free.
Thank you for bringing that up, Russell. And that thing works so well. We were tracking with a past coaching company I was with. I won't name names, but we were tracking, we were getting about 1 out of every 20 to 25 homeowners were willing to get a free CMA once we called them with this cold language. And all we did was change the script to say we've already done it. And it went to like 1 in 6. So it increased, what is that? A 300% increase or something by one little change of language. That's the importance of this. And by the way, you're not lying. If I take 1,000 homes and I do a CMA at 123 Banana Street, am I not including all 1,000 homes? I am. And if you feel out of integrity with that, then do one on the street and say, I just did a CMA at 137 Banana Street. You're at 123 Banana Street. You were included in my CMA by proximity, right? And if you really, really feel bad about it, then do a CMA on that particular property and take 3 minutes before you make the phone call. I'm just telling you, I crush you numbers wise if you do that, as opposed to going through the motions of making the power hour more valuable. Any questions on that as we kind of wrap up the call today? This is an amazing, amazing opportunity. If you just took 1 hour a day and just focused on finding a farm that's got at least a 6% turnover, you want to find that. That's an important metrics. And at least 500 homes. If you're making phone calls, I'd like to get into the 2,000 range. So 1 to 2,000 homes. If you're making phone calls, if you're walking them, 500 is plenty, but no less than 500,000 is a great number. 6% turnover or darn close, not 5.2, but 5.89. I'm not going to throw it away, right? 6% turnover, and then do an unsolicited CMA call to everybody in that subdivision and just go through it every single day, getting the list from title company. You get those names and numbers and everything for free. There's subscription services as well. But this is one of the few things they're allowed to help you with still is getting you content and get through those and just get better at your script, get better at saying, hey, it's Randy Byrd over at eXp Realty. I just did a CMA on your house on 123 Banana Street. And I was just curious, do you want a copy of it or do you want me to throw it away? I think it'd be a valuable thing for you to look at, but I'm not attached to it. If they go, yeah, just send it to me. Okay, great. What's your best email? And I'll shoot it over to you. It's just that simple. And then once I get all that, you got their phone number, get their email, you got their address already. At that point, I just say, hey, I'm going to follow up with you tomorrow. No reason to jump. Sorry, I'm losing my language here. No reason to, get into a language of sales. I just want to follow up with you, see if you have any questions about that CMA. If you have any questions about the square footage, the price, the amenities, any of those things. I haven't been in the house, so I'm going to put a parameter on it, but you'll find it very valuable. So I try to follow up with them the next day, just answer those questions. And then if I have that conversation, then I put them into a CRM where they'll get a postcard and they'll get my business card and they might get a door knock next time I'm in the neighborhood, specifically invited to open houses and other things like that. Okay. Awesome. Any questions before we wrap today?
Thank you, Randy.
Thank you, Russ. I appreciate your help, man.
Thanks, guys.
All right, you guys. I'll be back next week. I'm heading out of town. I'm going to go to Calgary and teach up there. And then we're going to Tahoe for an event. I'll be with you, Russell. And then I'll be back next Monday though.
Yeah, I'll be at 5-star next Monday. So I leave our event.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Where's that out this year?
It's in Dallas every year.
Oh, it's in Dallas. Okay.
Yeah, that's the one that doesn't move.
Oh, it isn't. Okay, cool. I thought they went to Anaheim.
They may have 5-star events in Anaheim, right? 'Cause it's a
Gotcha.
big company, but their big annual meeting is always in Dallas. The one
That's cool.
NADP moves around and NRBA moves around.
Yeah.
But 5-star is usually the same.
That's cool, man. Well, pleasure to be in business with you all. Thank you for your help and contribution.
Thanks, Randy.
See you guys. Have a great day.
Bye.
All right. Bye for now.